evening and welcome to another edition of Doctor and Call. Of course, we are getting closer and closer to the end of the year. It is the festive season, yes, Christmas, and of course we know what happens at Christmas time. We overindulge. That's no secret. But in all of that, we need to be mindful of our health, because you don't want, after you enjoy Christmas and you had a good time, then you end up in the hospital to start the new year. You don't want that. So we have to pay very special attention to what we do and how we do it over the Christmas period. Doc is here with me as usual. Doc, good evening and welcome again.
Well, good evening and thank you for always being here. Good evening to Grenada. Oh, this is home stretch to 2024. Today's the 12th? The
12th, yes, the 12th.
So we have 17 days left. In the 70s, you could buy a 17-day ticket and go to Trinidad. So by New Year's holiday with the
Yeah, I remember that. You get what, 17 days, 21 days kind of thing ticket. Now you don't hear about these.
And I remember a guy from my community who had gone to Trinidad on a 17-day ticket, came back, took a taxi and passed his yard. Couldn't remember where he lived. And asked if you know where a man named so-and-so lived.
That's a good one. That's
accent and all. That's what you call a real trip.
Yes, indeed. Okay. Indeed.
He got very acculturated, lost all memory of Grenada by being in Trinidad.
I would need your permission to give my colleagues and we culture that one. Definitely. I know Scholar would be cracking up with that.
Oh, what can you do with love Grenadians?
Yes, indeed. Oh yes. Well, Doc, it's always good to have you on the program. You know, it's always such a wonderful pleasure. And folks, let me just let the cat out of the bag early. Tomorrow evening on our Climate Reality, our final episode in season 2. Of course, Dr. Nixon will be on that program as well. Tomorrow we're looking at, we're sort of looking back a bit, just to re-emphasize some of the things that we spoke about in season 1 and in season 2, the impact that climate change has on our health and also on our agricultural sector. So, of course, Doc, being a medical practitioner and a public health specialist, she will be on with me tomorrow evening together with Mr. Trevor Thompson. So that being said, Doc, hey, it's Christmas. Time to celebrate and to have a good time and all the wonderful things that we do and the wonderful things that we enjoy. But
so as not to be a killjoy, I like Boxing Day.
Boxing Day, and as you mentioned that, do you remember years ago on Boxing Day when all the little communities, families would hire a bus and go on the island tours?
No, my father never allowed. We never go on island tour. My family's never traveled. Occasionally around, my parents never traveled on a flight together. My father was worried that if one of them dead, who would take care of us? Two of them dead.
Yeah,
who would take care of us?
But
yes.
I was.
But I remember people going on bus tour.
Oh yeah,
and I remember listening to all the adventures that people had.
Yeah, in fact, last Sunday there was a bus tour. The Grenville Credit Union, they had what was called the Senior Citizen Bus Tour.
I saw something about that.
Yes, and in fact, we made a nice little link up with them on the Yuletide Sunday program, and the mood, oh man, it was such a fantastic thing. I got some stories from people who went there, and I think the Grenville Credit Union is on to something, bringing back this bus tour.
Yeah, and just the interaction, because people, listen to me, I live on a very little island called Bermuda, right? That is 21 square miles, 21 miles by 1 mile. So I'd go to my hospital and I'd stand on one side, right, and see one shore. I walked up the stairs into my ward, and I stepped out to the front gate. I'm talking about one room with, wide enough, like a, regular hospital room, ward. and I was on the other side and I saw the other shore. But people go for drives. They go for drive out. They don't have half of what we have. Because if you were in the north, it looks just like in the south. In Grenada, we have such a diverse amount of just scenery. So you're in St. George's, which is supposed to be the city, but it's still quaint and small. Right? And if you go up Lucas Street, is one thing. If you went to River Road, is another thing. If you went to Springs, is another thing. If you went on to the south, is another thing. If you went on the west coast, is another thing. And I don't know a lot of the country, but I think it makes sense that we start going back out, although they have some crazy drive on the road. But I think we need to go and take family drive on Sunday evening again. Go visit with auntie, go visit the cousins. We used to have friends who would come to our house on Sundays for a meal. Right? Just to sit down and share dinner with us. Their family, my family. We have to get back to that. We have to get back to each other. And
that's why I think that that initiative by the Grenville Credit Union was such a wonderful one. They had about 5 those what you call it, the coasters, those big buses.
Really?
Yes. Wow. And they went.
A coaster sits easily 30 people.
Yes, they went around the island. In fact, and we made contact with them while they were at Quarantine Point. It was just such a wonderful. I saw it. The Rotarians posted it. Yes. Yeah, such a wonderful.
And Quarantine Point is a nice place to be on a sunny afternoon. You watch the planes come in from far. You get to watch the ocean. If there's a ship in the harbor, it's really something nice. And Quarantine Park, I'm doing something for Rotary Club. Quarantine Park has just developed a walking circle, so you can walk around a proper walking. I can't say it in Spanish. Pista, a track.
Right. Yes.
A proper walking track. So I want to invite people to join that place and go walking. You know, go walking at Quarantine Park. It's free to enter. You get drinks, and have picnics with your family. We need to do all of that.
Oh, definitely. There's a lot that we need to go back to. So
I don't like Christmas.
You don't like Christmas? I love Christmas. I
would make it pretty. I would do decorations and make my friends' place. My friends would come and decorate us and stuff. But let me tell you, I think it's childhood trauma.
Yes.
So as a girl, you got 2 things. The ladies in the market would sell, look at tea sets.
Yes.
Right? They would sell tea sets when you had enamel one, it might last till just about Valentine's Day. Because I don't want to know where all them things gone, right? Because I don't see them in landfills. I don't see them anywhere. Or you get a nice like a plastic one when plastic became vogue. But what I'd get, because I'd asked for it, I wanted a dolly that cried, right? Mm-hmm. And so we had this molded plastic dolly. It's all white, a white skin dolly, right? And her hair, it's just plastic. The hair looked like that, and she had blue eyes and a nice like a frock with a band in the waist and the bottom part kind of gathered, right? And sometimes you get and a socks and shoe. She had socks and shoes. And then if you tilted her over, right, you go, so my dolly would cry. But I also wanted a dolly that I could bathe.
And you bathed the crying dolly.
But you don't understand the system in the back, right? Made up of a carton tube, a paper tube like toilet roll, thicker than that, right? And it had a thing that would let the air in, and that would make the sound. So everything go, eh. And so Christmas was over from by 11 o'clock because I had to bathe my dolly. But I had amnesia about a year before how I suffered. So every year when 11 o'clock I vexed. Because when 11 o'clock my dolly dead, she can't cry no more. So I think I'm just dealing with childhood trauma. But seriously, I find, on a serious note, I like Advent, and I like when you become involved in Advent and the spirituality takes you up to Christmas. I wish we wouldn't waste so much. And I wish we'd remember the people outside of our homes and those who just don't have the luxury that we share. That's what I'd love to see more at Christmas.
Yeah. I love Christmas. It's just I find that Christmas brings on a very special feeling. It makes you feel really good.
I want feeling to last. We have to find ways to make everyday Christmas, and sometimes we have to make everyday Christmas for everybody. If you can make Christmas something for yourself, we have to find ways that we can make Christmas for everybody.
And and one of the ways
110,000 of us. So.
And one of the ways in being able to enjoy Christmas or probably make everyday Christmas is to be healthy, because if you're not, you definitely you definitely won't be enjoying a lot of Christmases.
Yeah, that's true.
So Doc,
that's a very good point.
Yes, yeah. I think it's important that it is the 12th, but we need to start reminding people of the importance of paying very special attention to what they do around this time.
So people have already started enjoying the parties, office parties. There's you or your friends, them or your spouse, or somebody else invite you who's the boss, who's your friend, who is, people have been partying, going to sessions, and we really want to see 2024. We've seen things in 2020 that's caused a lot of trauma for us. The Palestinian-Israeli conflict.
Still ongoing.
It's still ongoing, that they've stopped showing on the TV, but it still continue. That's been traumatic for most people. There's just been too much death. And while you might feel that it's far from us, it really gets inscribed in your brain, and it's things that remind us of how vulnerable we are, and how sometimes there's David and Goliath, and how we just didn't know so much. And I think we've just seen too much death in these last 3 months of the year.
Well, even before that, you remember the Ukraine-Russia thing? I mean, you don't hear...
Ukraine-Russia, but you didn't see as much. There wasn't as much death, and you didn't see as much vulnerability.
Yes, that's true.
You didn't see... This war has been quite unequal, and the world has stood by while people died, but other people who did not pertain to the conflict were so traumatized. It was just very hard to watch. I watch a lot of the things because I had to prevent myself from wanting to convince myself, so that my own dealing with trauma could be soothed. This is a reality. How do you confront it? How mindful can you be? What is your opinion of this? What can you do to help? So we started off the year encouraging people to be well. And I've met a few of the people who listen or who watch us on the weeks, and mostly older people and quite a few young people. And even so, for me, a lot of men, which I find very interesting. Okay, a lot of men who would approach me in the city, wherever they meet you, supermarket, on the road, in traffic, and somebody say, "Hey, we're really getting a lot from your program." And for me, that is a major achievement. We actually asked people to take 1 point at least out of everything we said, and had they done so, they'd have had probably like 40 points, because we've been on at least 40 times for the year. They'd have had 40 new practices, 40 understandings, 40 things they want to ask questions about, 40 changes, whatever it is, right? That could have been implanted in their personal life, or the lives of other persons in their families, or their friends, or in the workplace and stuff. A lot of people have told me they listen and they actually apply the vignettes that we give them into their life, and that's very important.
It is,
because I think we have I was just thinking, my little cousin just finished university, and she was saying, too much is given, much should be required, right? We have a responsibility, all of us who have the ability, to share information with people that make their lives better. And so I hope that this has been a year of a better life for most of our people. Not that we're done. I mean, like we say, things may come, we're done, we just come. Really starting, because there's just so much information to share. But above all, there's so much information that we've already heard that we can hear again. Mm-hmm. It's never too much. So we've spoken about, this year we had the panel with Dr. Freeman, or last year?
Last year. Mm-hmm.
Right. But we've taken a lot of what we've learned from there and translated it. We've spoken about climate change. We've spoken about cancer, a lot about cancer, because we did it on World Cancer Month, which is Grenada Cancer Awareness Month, which is February. We spoke a lot about breast cancer in October. We spoke about diabetes. We had Dr. Matthias, and we've had a lot of very auspicious guests, but we've had really good participants in our community who, are listening and thinking and ask very relevant questions.
We also spoke a bit on sports. Remember, we had a couple of the sports people on. Yes, talking. So
because that's a very important part of our lifestyle that we have to reinstate. We can't walk on the road because there are some pilots that fall out of the sky and decide they're going to drive the same speed when they get on the ground. But until we have places where people can walk freely, like they can go to the park or go to quarantine park because we have a walking track, we're going to have to find ways of getting ourselves active. And sometimes it's just dancing. You know what's line dancing, right? Like when you do electric boogie and stuff.
Yes.
Those are things that we can employ in the workplace. Those are things we can put. So when you finish eating lunch, you go over to wherever that room is, and the tapes play and the music play, and people just dance. They're very, very inexpensive. Lots of very inexpensive, right, and innovative ways of getting active. So if you work in a complex, instead of waiting for the bus to come, you can just walk down to the bottom or walk up in the morning. That's the thing. Walk up and down the 4 flights of stairs. Sometimes, it's been hot for them in the ministry because the ACs have been out, but wherever you are, you can walk. Walk to the copy machine, walk to talk to a colleague. Just be active. But apart from being active yourself, you have to encourage our children and our older people to also be physically active, because that's what's going to make the difference for a lot of us. That physical capacity to move up and down, to keep your metabolism going, to avoid joint pains, to avoid losing bone mass and all the rest of it. We talked a lot about food, right? We've had some serious interactions and some very positive interventions from Food and Nutrition Council, right? And that's going to be ongoing. We talked a lot about getting back to eating what we grow. Better yet, growing what we need to eat, right? We talked badly a lot about pasta, and I will continue to. We talked about the campaigns that had been on to help us to eat better, to make better choices, front of package warning label. Which was one thing we talked a lot about, how we get guided, using the PAHO nutrition profile and all the rest. So we've actually given a lot of information as to how to stay well, how to prevent chronic diseases. Did we speak about sickle cell? Yes, we did. Sickle cell awareness?
Yeah, not a whole lot of it this year.
We did.
Yes, yeah. But the year before, we spent a lot of time on sickle cell. We did.
Sickle Cell Association is kind of focusing now a lot. Just for now that I'm down to the 50th anniversary. And we've spoken about Walter Clement Noel, who is patient zero, the first person to have been diagnosed and researched, right? Who's buried in Sotes. Right? He's Grenadian, was going up to the US to go to dental school, got sick. On the long boat trip was over, boosted up in nutrition and stuff. Got sick and had an ulcer, had a little breakdown, like a little sore came around his ankle. Feed him up and stuff, he went up, kept getting sick. And nobody knew what this was. This was probably in the early 1900s, right? Kept getting sick. And then some curious doctor decided to take a drop of blood, put it on a slide and look at it under the microscope, and discovered that his red cells were different from what he's accustomed to seeing in the white population. Now, Walter Clement Noel would have been a person of mixed race, would be considered black in a white society. So it was unlikely that any of the blood they would have seen from the white patients would have looked like his. So when they see these cells that look like a sickle, you think they used to cut wheat?
Yes, the sickle. Yeah.
Right. So look a lot like that. So the cells in the sicklers look like that. They cut onto each other, so they clump and clog up the circulation, right? Because when it gets to the little spot, you don't have any. But Walter Clement is a pioneer even posthumously, he died at the age of 32. He studied dentistry, came back. I know he got married. I'm not sure he had children. That's something I have to research. But he came back, and he's that first person. If you Google his name, Walter Clement Noel, it comes up and you get a short history. Mm-hmm. So we want to recognize ourselves and recognize a Grenadian who actually is a pioneer in research, a subject. Right? A pioneer subject in research and global research, because sickle cell research is done widely all over the world. They've just had new innovations as how to make the genes change so that you can control it. It's going to cost a lot of money, but guess what? That's going to go down. It's just no paying back for research and all the rest of it. Mm-hmm. So hopefully, in a place where we have 1 in 10 person carrying the genes for sickle cell, right? We hope that we can raise the interest of people to be screened. We actually currently do neonatal screening. When a baby is born here at the hospital, a sample is taken and sent away to screen for sickle cell disease. So we know the people in the last few years, the children. Our adult population has not really been tested, especially our adult male population. The adult female population who has had children would have had a sickle cell screen. That is a normal test during pregnancy, and that is why we encourage our patients, our mothers who are having babies, to make sure that you go to clinic early so you can determine all of this and to understand. Because if a woman is positive for sickle cell, you have to test, you have to check the partner, right, to know what the possible outcome for the child is, so you can make arrangements to receive a child who might be fully blown sickle. So we did talk about a lot of things this year, and as we come to the end of the year, I think it's a good time to reflect. Have I been able to get control of my blood pressure? Do I have diabetes? What is diabetes? Have I been able to get control of my diabetes if I have it? Any diseases that I have in general to prevent complications like heart attacks, strokes, heart failure. Your heart failing probably sometimes is worse than having a heart attack and dying, because the quality of life is really, really, really compromised if you have severe heart failure. Have I had enough control so that the possibility of my kidneys failing, or have I allowed my kidneys to fail to the point where I need to have dialysis, right? Which is really taking your blood, put it into a machine, cleanse it, and it comes in and out. And that is sometimes up to 3 times a week for some people.
And very costly.
And very costly. And when that no longer works for you, you have to go, you need a kidney transplant. I've only known of 1 kidney transplant in our population in the last 2 years, because you have to find somebody who matches you perfectly. So I can't say, hey, give me a kidney now. And then what if you also have hypertension? You can't give me a kidney, right? So we have to make sure that we have tried the best to preserve our lives. Have I planted a kitchen garden? If you have a place where you can park a car, you can plant kitchen garden in a space. That does not mean that you park your car outside on the road so that I can't see the person.
I was about to tell you that it might not be possible, because a lot of people park their vehicles on the side of the road. I'm not sure you could.
I'm saying if you have that much space, okay, you can park. Give up the flower garden and plant some fruit. Yes,
indeed.
So there are a lot of things that we need to go back and reflect on and be able to try and learn again. We're going to talk about everything we've talked about. We're going to talk about it probably from different perspectives, but we're going to keep on educating Grenadians and hoping that they learn. We talked about the environment a lot. One of the things we haven't spoken a lot about is asthma, although it is so heavily impacted. We've spoken about it, but just superficially, it's so heavily impacted by the environmental changes.
Exactly. Yes. We did speak a bit about it, especially during the month of September, August, September.
Yeah, but I talk about asthma as an entity on its own, getting its own program, so that our population can understand how this mostly preventable disease can be prevented or at least controlled. Right? And then we looked at things like smoking, and we mentioned things like vaping, which is a new trend for adolescents. And I beg parents, please look out for your children. Vaping, inhaling warmed nicotine, which is that thing that is very addictive, right? night, very addictive, leads you back to smoking because nicotine is the addictive substance in tobacco. Tobacco, on the other hand, and this processed tobacco, the tobacco that makes cigarettes in particular, tends to have dozens, hundreds of toxins when you smoke and puts us at risk for every single cancer. Reminding us that tobacco will kill 50% of its friends. And sometimes we're just an accidental friend because we have a lot of children inhaling secondary smoke. Yes. And tertiary smoke where it gets stuck in your furniture and your carpet and stuff. And we inhale all of those stuff. So, we have spoken a lot of stuff. And maybe we could ask patients, we could ask our listeners and our viewers to send in questions. Because sometimes there are, even before the programs, sometimes there are things that people want to know, especially they want to ask anonymously. The truth is, when you ask a question, there are 5,000 other people who wanted to ask that question anyway.
Oh yes.
They just you take in front and ask the question.
In fact, Doc, I've opened the telephone line, and folks, the number is 435-2041. So you can give us a call if you have a question that you probably been wanting to ask for a while. You can give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to try to share information with you. So the number 435-2041. Give us a call. Doc is quite capable.
Almost.
Very knowledgeable, and we're more than happy to share with you. So the number again, 435-2041. The line is open. You can definitely give us a call. But Doc, as we approach Christmas, and people do their shopping and everything else, sometimes it's not just what you eat or what you drink, but your general lifestyle can have serious impact, because you might be amazed that based on what you eat or drink can actually influence different behaviors that can influence other things, and it's a whole.
Because often when you drink, you become disinhibited. In other words, you don't have at conscious control of some of the things you do, included, and I'm going to start with probably one of the most impactful, having been raped and you don't know by whom, sexual assault, even physical assault, male or female, getting into fights, because some people get drink and they get high and they get disorderly.
Right, Doc, we have a caller. We have a caller on the line. Let's go to our telephone and see who's with us. Doctor and call. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How are you?
Not too bad. How is the season going?
Very good. Very good.
Okay. A question for the doctor. I am teaching cricket with the primary school students. And I found out I have a group of maybe about 30 students, and about 6 or 7 of them is complaining that they are asthmatic. So I want to know what advice the doctor can give me in terms of doing physical exercise with the kids. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much indeed.
For this question, so 6 out of 30 is what? Do the percentage on that. That's 1/5, 20%. Of children come with asthma. So a lot of people say they have asthma in school because they don't want to exercise. But I think if these children are involved in a cricket program, they're probably really and truly asthmatic. And like I said, we have not done a lot of education on asthma. You know what we should have? We should have an asthma club. We children with asthma meet, talk, how they manage, what triggers their asthma, and all the rest. There's a situation called exercise-induced asthma, where the asthmatic children really and truly develop an asthma attack while they exercise. And I'm sure he does a lot of warm-up exercises and the stretches and stuff, and it induces their asthma. So those of us who know that asthma, you're usually given 2, I'm going to say pumps, but we call it pumps, those 2 inhalers.
Yeah.
You get a blue one or you get a brown one.
Right.
Or sometimes you get others that have combined medication, like Symbicort has 2. and this is not for advertising Symbicort, let's get that very clear, right? But you get the Ventolin and you get the Becotide or the betamethasone, right? Children people with asthma in general know what the trigger factor is. And we've talked about one of the trigger factors all the time, jokingly, but it's really very serious. The one of having lots of roaches that urinate all over the place. Not an insect, but roaches in particular. So if you keep cardboard and papers and stuff in your house. And people who live in poor conditions that need to stack their stuff, cockroaches will infest them. And so you know what to trigger. But those of us who still like cold pot and people who set up their cold pit not very far from the house.
Oh boy. Tell me about that one.
And not where they have other trees that can probably help to absorb some of the carbon dioxide. If you can see smoke, it has particles. If you can see smoke, it has particles. If you can see smoke, it has particles. And those fine particles, which we call particle dust sometimes, right, get into your airway. So if Godfrey and I walking down the road, right? I'm asthmatic, he isn't. We're walking on the road and the dust blows down on dusty highway. The dust blows, right? You probably sneeze and cough once and your body does the normal protective reflexes to make sure that they don't get them straight into your lungs, that you can get rid of it. So Godfrey is not asthmatic. He coughed 2 times and he drink a little water if he wants and we're done. I, on the other hand, I'm asthmatic, and my airways respond very, very, very exaggeratedly. So my airways start to swell up, my airways get a lot of mucus there, and eventually the muscle around my smaller, not my trachea, along the other part of inside the lungs, right, where the air goes in, the muscles have tiny muscles, and those muscles constrict, and your child starts wheezing, right? In the presence, when children have asthma, that's what happens. They get constriction and they start wheezing. There's a simple way to do with it. First of all, you're asked to use your brown inhaler regularly because it stops the swelling from the daily into the lung, and it stops it helps the mucus to not stay there. Drinking a lot of water is very important. That's one of the things you probably can do with your children. Make sure they're sipping water as they go along, right? But the Ventolin inhaler is your rescue inhaler, and that's when you need to use it. What do we advise athletes who have challenges? Use the inhaler. Tell parents, make sure your child takes his 2 puffs before he goes and plays. And usually the children are able to manage that. The other thing is, how do we deliver the Ventolin or these substances? There's a thing called a spacer, because it really looks like a spacer. It's a thing you put over the child's face. And even adults, I tell them use a spacer. And then you pump, you do the 2 puffs of your medication into the spacer. The medication gets into the spacer and you breathe it in and out. So you don't have to have all the force, because the coordination of using a pump, you have to shake it, breathe in, breathe out, and then you puff into your throat, and then you breathe in and you hold, and you breathe out, and you breathe in, and you hold, and it gets done. And of course, if you use a Becotide, you have to wash your throat out, right? It's very difficult to ask a 2-year-old or a 6-year-old or even a 10-year-old or even a 30-year-old
to do that. Yes.
And I ask my adult patients, tell me how you do it. And all of them, most people fail. Get a spacer. You don't have a spacer, you get a big plastic cup that can cover the child's face around the nose with a little hole just to fit the pump, the inhaler, the part where the medication is delivered. Put it over the thing, you do your 2 puffs, and you keep it up the child's face and let him breathe for 3 minutes.
Right.
And that works for you. Right? It works very often. Sometimes children don't respond because the asthma has been on so long, right? You tell parents, teacher, if the kid's coughing in the night, he needs to be seen by his doctor. Asthma is a disease of the night, okay? It comes on in the night and it gets tough. Morning time comes, everybody hale and hearty like nothing ever happened. But if the parents who have children with asthma find that the children cough in the night, you hear that kind of tinny, very high tympanic sound, very high pitch sound, right? Sometimes you can hear the children wheezing. You see the chest moving in and out, the muscles, because they don't need muscles to help them to breathe out, right? That's what asthma is. The chest gets bigger because they can breathe in without much effort. But we don't have muscles ready to help us to breathe out, so it becomes very difficult. So if your children are having asthmatic attacks, encourage your children in your sports camp. I encourage parents to make sure they're seen by the doctor, that they have an inhaler, and that they take the medication before they come to sports.
Right. Okay.
And they drink a lot of water.
Yes, indeed. The phone is going. The phone
not
is
soda,
going a bit.
Water.
That's right. That's right. So we have a caller on the line. Let's go back to our telephone. Doctor and call. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, how are you, sir?
Fine.
Mm-hmm.
I know doctors prescribe to conventional medicine, but what does the doctor take on other medication like herbs and our local bush that we use for tea?
And our local what?
Our local bush is that we use for teas, like lemongrass, sugar dish, and so on. How do you...
And you're speaking in general. You're not speaking about in relation to asthma. You're speaking in general, right?
Yeah, in general. Yeah, in general. Although some of it might help asthma. Who knows? I don't know. But
the Jamaicans have an inhaler. The Jamaicans have an inhaler that uses cannabis, and that's been in the market for 30 years, right? But it's something that's studied, researched, metered doses, so you cannot understand what goes on. All right. The truth is that a lot of us smoke cannabis and expect that to help. Inhaled cannabis doesn't really help very many diseases.
I wasn't talking about cannabis in general.
No, cannabis is a herb that can be used for a lot.
But I was talking about other herbs that we use, basically. A lot of people use it like...
There's been a lot...
Some herbal teas then that we use.
Yes, there's been a lot of research on herbs, right? And the use of herbs. And if you go on the internet, the stuff keeps coming up. Like everything else, I think each individual has responsibility to see how he or she responds to something that she drinks.
But do you advocate that?
Yeah, I tell my patients you can drink X or Y. I tell my patients they're herbal things that I will tell my patients. Why don't you try this? Or why don't you try that? I do.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't. Hold on. Let's get it very clear. I'm not saying that I'm a specialist.
No. I'm saying I know doctors prescribe to conventional medicine, but I just want to know what is your take on herbal medicine? That is all.
No, but I don't know a lot about herbal medicine, but I know about the use of some herbs.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm trying to tell you. And I only speak patiently X. For example, soursop tea, soursop leaf tea. There's been extensive research on soursop leaf tea. I'll give you an example. Mm-hmm. My friend is married to somebody, she's an older woman, but she's my friend. She was married to somebody who was just passed away at the age of like 91, 92, right? Mm-hmm. But several years ago, she noticed she started getting irritable at nights. And we all know that everybody take herbal...
what you call bush tea then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, soursop leaf specifically.
Well, yes, soursop leaf is like bush tea normally, and if you drink it.
Yeah, but I'm not making it generalized. I'm being very specific about specific. And I said to her, why don't you try some soursop leaf and see if that helps the sedating sufficient? And he sleep the first night. And she gave him a second night, and she's probably given like 3 times. And she never had a problem with him walking again, right? Mm-hmm. But that is something that is tested and proven. I wouldn't tell people to take some. I hear some stuff that people can't. I tell them, I really can't tell you. If you do it at your own risk.
So you're saying that you would advocate them using it, doesn't matter?
I do advocate for some of the herbal medications.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that.
I, Sonia Nixon, have read, right? And I've proven that it works. We have to be very careful. That's why I told you about metered.
Yeah, well, why I say that is because in Grenada, a lot of people use bush tea, so to speak. All different bushes they boil and they drink and they get relief. They probably don't know, the medicinal values of it, but they drink it and they get good relief. And it's interesting to know that could happen. And since you say you don't mind advocating that, then I'm happy.
I'm not being general. I'm saying I don't mind advocating the
things. Yes, no. I'm going to give you. I want to give you. You're not being general. I know.
Another example. I'd love to give another example.
You're not saying go ahead and do that and do this. I understand that.
Do you know periwinkle? We call it old lady or something like that.
Yes. there are a lot of things.
So periwinkle, periwinkle was discovered. Listen to the whole sentence.
Guava leaf, mango leaf, all sort of thing we use, for whatever.
Hold on, no, but I want you to listen to this specifically. Periwinkle was discovered to help to control blood sugar.
Okay.
Right? To help to control blood sugars, and people started using it, and they started doing, somebody losing something, you check the liver functions, the kidney functions, you check, you want to make sure, right? And after a while, they discovered that everybody's liver was getting beaten. Everybody who was in a study were having liver function problems. Are they still researching the periwinkle? Probably, to see what doses can we give that is compatible with sugar, with glucose control, without macerating your kidney, your liver. You can't afford to lose your liver.
So in other words, if you're going to use bush, at some time you should have tests done to see how the body is functioning.
If you're using bush, yes, you should.
Yeah.
And you should also tell your doctor what you're taking.
Yeah,
because sometimes...
And then,
no, people don't tell you what you're taking. I ain't taking anything I say in this call. The last time I take eggs is happening and that. I've been taking this. The truth is, doctor, we have to have a very open conversation and a very honest conversation. Right? There are people who can't use some of the chemical substances that we are taught. Non-traditional, medicinal research.
Chemical all medicine has side effects. All medicine, anything
has side effects for some people. Keep in mind. That is why we have
whether it is herbal.
That's why we have an FDA.
They all have
That's
side
why
effects.
the FDA exists.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, thank you, Paula.
Nice
Thank you. Yeah,
thank you very much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Doc, let me just say this though. I think and I do drink bush from time to time, but there are some, and the caller mentioned one specifically, sugar dish. There are some of these leaves that we have to be very careful. Black sage, which was once thought to be something, I know that there have been some research done, and it is not the best choice. Also, sugar dish. If when people pass, if you pass,
cousin to black sage,
right? If you pass your hands on these leaves, there's this. It feels very sharp and
that's
very
fine,
spikes. Yeah, and these things can get lodged in some of your organs, soft tissue organs, and people have to be very mindful of that. So yes, people can choose to drink their whatever it is, but please folks, yes, be mindful of what you're doing. At the same time, when you go to a doctor and a doctor gives you medication, you would notice that particular doses are prescribed. When you drink in bush, you are really not sure about the compounds.
All the compounds present.
Yeah. So, yes, fine, if you want to drink your bush, fine, but please, just for your own safety, be mindful of how you do it and what you drink. At least try and get some information that, you trust before you go ahead just consuming any and every bush. I just wanted to, just put that out there. Yes, indeed. So the number.
So thank you for that question anyway, because it did open up a discussion that we really also need to approach. We haven't really gone into the depth. This is not a program I can do efficiently. Because there are people who have had more research knowledge than I do about the different things that we have. And we can't it can't just go willy-nilly. It has to be run, whatever you take has to be run within certain parameters. What do you need? What do you need it for? What is it taking? What's your lifestyle like? You have the enzymes that take care of whatever chemical comes in, right? And unless you have the research to support it, you can't. Because as physicians, as people who practice medicine in the way that we know now, a lot of us don't have knowledge of naturopathic things, but we also don't have. We have to make sure that we have knowledge of the things that are manufactured in order to be able to guide our patients. So that's one of the doctor's responsibility, to understand what he's given to you.
Yes, indeed. Doc, we did take a short break and come right back. Stay with us, folks. Don't go away.
future's in your hands. Your body is yours, that's why you need a plan. You gotta plan your family, avoid HIV, get the education from the Grenada Planned Parenthood Association.
We offer STI screening, gender-based violence counseling, prenatal and postnatal checks, injectables, condoms, pap smears, and other sexual reproductive services. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The Pointe Street, St. George's. Whether male or female, it doesn't matter. We're here to make your life better.
Grenada Planned Parenthood Association.
For appointments, call 440-3341.
Do you have muscular pain that no one can find a solution for? Are you tired of taking meds for joint and other pains? Hills and Valley Medicare Center on Grenville Street, St. George is here to help you heal. We will help you map a path to your full recovery. Visit us Monday to Saturday for a consultation with our on-site doctor, physiotherapist, and massage team. You will be glad you did. Our Medicare Center, a proud member of the Hills and Valley group of companies. On the hilltop or in the valley, we are with you wherever life takes you. Hills and Valley Pharmacy. Your health is our business.
Have you heard about the new Softweave bathroom tissue with total hygiene? As hygiene and safety have taken center stage, our bathroom tissue is now manufactured with 3 different technologies to offer the best protection for you and your family. UVC light technology for a safe and effective disinfection process, eliminating 99.9% of microorganisms. Also, production at high temperatures, killing all types of germs and bacteria. And it's pH controlled with delicate fibers to prevent irritation for even sensitive skin. Softweave Total Hygiene Bathroom Tissue. Available in supermarkets and shops island-wide. Visit Softweave Caribbean Facebook or Instagram pages for more information.
Blast Gaming is where dreams come true and jackpots are won. Dive into a world of delightful experiences and daring action. From the moment you step through the doors, have the time of your life, feel the energy, soak in the excitement, and let the good times roll. Blast is more than just a place to play. It's where friends socialize, cocktails flow, and a safe space for those who dream big and dare to have fun while doing it. Blast Gaming. Know your limits, play within it. You must be 18 and over.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. It's Doctor and Call, and of course, those of you just joining us, we're very happy to have you. Our friends on our Facebook page as well. We're happy for you. You can definitely post your questions, or if you have any, and we'll be more than happy to try and provide answers for you if we can. All right. Of course, when we started, we did speak about the importance of being mindful of what you do, especially through this holiday season, and not only what you eat or drink can affect your health, but general behaviors. For example, people who drive recklessly on the road, you can get involved in accidents. You can lose limbs, you can die, as a matter of fact. So it's always very important to pay attention, and I'm sure everyone, you're happy to be alive. You're happy to experience all the wonderful things that life has to offer. I mean, yes, we do have our little difficult periods from time to time, but nevertheless, with life, you can find ways to get around that. And generally, when you go through difficult periods and you can, battle them and come out successful, this is usually the best feeling ever. And you can only do that if you pay attention to what you do, if you exercise good judgment at all times. Usually when we don't, this is when we find ourselves in difficult situations. So we want to remind you of that, yeah? Christmas is a time to be joyous, to be happy, to be merry, and you can do that without being excessive in all ways, and I know Doc will definitely agree with me, and she would have the experience of having to deal with patients after some of these excesses. Doc, what do you when you deal with patients like that? What do you say to them? What do they come when they come to you? What do they tell you?
You can't tell them anything because they're too inebriated to say that. It's a waste of information when somebody's inebriated is drunk, because your whole capacity to understand, you've already made bad decisions because your judgment is clouded, right? But your cognitive skills are also decreased. That's why, and your whole the cognitive skills generally. That's why I see one light instead of two. That's why I drive on the right side instead of the left.
Or you see 4 instead of 2.
Yeah, but then 4 at least you would stop. But you don't have to stop. You see people walking off, and guess what? I think we need to have fun, but I think fun must have its responsibilities. Yeah,
Doc, let's just take a pin a bit. Let's go to the telephone. We have a caller on the line. Doctor and call. Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening, caller.
I've been listening to your program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I heard you spoke of sugar dish and black sage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not querying that, right?
Uh-huh.
But as a young man growing up, I've been drinking this thing up to this day. But my thing is now, I never forget using my piece of cloth to strain my tea.
Right. Okay.
Up to this day, I'm 72 years of age, and up to this day, that's what I use my piece of cloth to strain my tea.
Yes.
Sugar dish, bay leaf, black sage, the same sort of sop leaf. Every one of these things that I drink most.
Okay. Well, I'm not saying, I'm just saying to be mindful, because there are other compounds other than the wonderful aroma that you get from them. So I'm just saying, just be mindful because we don't know what quantities we are taking in. So I'm just basically saying, just be mindful and, be as certain as possible of what you're consuming so that you don't run into problems, just in case.
Yeah, as I quote, maybe from the age of 5 up to 72 years of age now, I've been drinking these things, and I drink it more than any other tea else, and those things like that. But strain your thing properly.
Okay, right.
Strain your thing properly.
I agree.
Very important point that this gentleman is bringing up.
Yes,
and
indeed.
You mentioned it. So I never even thought that straining it regularly was something that you needed to do. And
well, in the old time fashion, I continue with the old time fashion. Mm-hmm. I always have my piece of cloth hanging one area there.
And you after you strain, you wash it out.
But thank you.
Yes,
I think that's knowledge for all of us listening tonight. Strain with tea.
Yep.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's very beneficial. The program is very beneficial.
Thank you. Yes. Sir.
Okay, then. Welcome.
Yes.
We coming for Christmas.
No, that is it does make good sense. It does make good sense. Because of course that cloth will trap a lot of particles that would normally, yes.
Particles.
I remember as little boys, we used to call it grums. You're straight to get at all the grums from your tea. So yes, indeed. Doc, I have a very interesting comment on Facebook from Sharon Pilgrim, and she's asking, is it true that the medical folks are trying to keep the public at a lifespan of 60 or less? I think I needed to put that in.
I'll tell you, no, I don't think that's true. I think we don't do enough to make sure that the public reaches a lifespan of 70. I don't think it's a conscious thing we're doing, and I don't know that's the way you mean for it as well. But I think we certainly can do a little more. But I also think that persons, and I'm going to call them patients, divide us into patients and physicians, right, and caregivers. I think the people who give us, to whom we deliver care, also have a responsibility to do their own stuff. So it's not just about, you can come and I can write a prescription and get you to the door and you're happy, right? But I've had patients who get upset that I don't just give them a prescription and they go, because there's just so much more I need to do, so much more. Dr. Matthias was talking recently about this kind of fatigue, apathy that physicians tend to experience and practice. So we don't go all the way, right? But I don't think it's something conscious. I think it's actually unethical if that were to be somebody's thought, that let's get them off at 60 unless you have some contract with the undertakers. But the bottom line is that is not so. So we have to ensure that we have a good partnership. It's very important that caregivers have a big partnership with those who are seeking care, and to understand that also caregivers understand that if you die before 70, you have died prematurely, right? So what is that you come with? If somebody comes to you with a toenail fungus, do you just write prescription for them, or do you figure out, do you have diabetes? Did you have, do you wear water boots every day? What is the situation that predisposes you? How are you going to tell your patient, here's how you treat it, and here's how you prevent it, right? What if they walk in chauffeur every day? They don't have on proper shoes for being out in the bush, right? Or being in their land, wherever they are, or the job they do, right? If they don't have protective covering on their feet. So we kind of need to figure out all of that and work collectively. And again, fungus on your foot might just be diabetes. Have you asked him, right? So doctors kind of need to stretch themselves to make sure that when a patient comes with one thing, we cannot figure out what else is going on in your life, because it's just one body and everything that happens in there will affect the rest of the body. Any one thing that happens is likely to affect. So thanks, Sharon.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Yes. All right. So the number again, 435-2041. Let's go back to the telephone. Doctor and call, good evening.
Hello.
Yes, good evening, caller.
How are you?
Very good, and you?
Not bad. I'm thinking about the tattoo. How safe it is?
The what?
The tattoo.
Tattoo?
How safe
Tattoos
it is
on
to
your
do
skin.
tattoo on your body?
Mm-hmm.
How safe that is?
Doc?
Well, I can get religious and said in Leviticus chapter 11 they said, but I would not do that. So there has been a lot of talk recently about the ink being poisonous, toxic to your body. There are a lot of people who have had tattoos who have removed them. But also remember that some people are likely to have more damaging effects from putting tattoo on the skin than others. I also want to say that it is everybody's prerogative. They can make a decision as to whether or not they'll apply a tattoo, but there must be, when you make them kind of decisions for that can be so permanent, you actually really should make sure that you figure it out. You study it well. You go to the internet, which we have in our phones, my favorite instrument, and you look at what is effects of tattoos. Go to Google, and you'll see a million different write-ups about what happens with tattoos. And there you make a decision. Well, I'm going to take the risk and put a tattoo on my wherever, all over, one little spot, and see what are the effects of it. Figure out what are the inks they use. You also have to consider when you go into a tattoo parlor, is it hygienic? Mm-hmm. Can I get HIV? Can I get hepatitis B? Can I get herpes? Can I get all the other transmissible infections, right? Even something like Zika and stuff, and dengue from other people because there's still blood on a person's skin. All the transmissible diseases, but those that would last us, like HIV, HIV, chikungunya, and all of the rest. We have to make sure that we're not at risk for all of those. So, those are the things. Are these new needles? What's in this ink? Have a consultation with the tattoo artist.
Yes.
Can I take this off if I don't want to have it? So those are the situations we have to consider seriously.
Okay.
So thank you for calling about that.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much indeed. The number is 435-2041. Give us a call and we'll be more than happy to share information with you, right? You probably have a question that you've been meaning to ask. Let's go back to the telephone and see who is with us. Doctor and call, good evening. Hello.
Hello, good night, Godfrey.
Yes, good evening. How are you?
What's about Lovine? What is the remedy for Lovine?
Lovine?
Yeah. You don't know it?
Yeah, I know Lovine, but anytime I see Lovine, I'm trying to get rid of Lovine.
Lovine, good. Good. People used to drink that for biliousness in the body.
For what?
Biliousness.
Okay.
Bilious, when you sweat on your body,
you older than me, you're supposed to know that,
have this kind of a yellow thing on it. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
People
so there's actually a use for Lovine, but I can't remember what it is. I think
Lovine is a vine that does climb and tie up trees.
I know.
It's a parasitic vine. It's a parasitic vine. Yeah.
You have a lot on the side going on in Pinefield Hill there on the tree. There's the on tree.
Yeah, Lovine is all over the place. Lovine can take over your garden in no time at all.
Yeah, people used to drink that. The elderly people used to drink that when I was a little girl. My mother used to drink it. This body used to have bilious in it because of what they used to eat.
I want to remind the population, elderly people don't drink them thing every day for the rest of their lives. They drink it for a short period. They drink a specific quantity. Yeah. You remember your grandmother drinking sauce up, young
she used to like sauce up.
How long she drink it for?
She drink it as long as she not there now. She used to drink fast. Every morning she used to drink it to just keep her cool.
But she used it for 9 days, and then
every morning she used to drink when she was alive.
So, but if you give me young sauce up every day, you won't have no sauce up to make sauce up juice.
Oh, yeah, sauce up home. You have a lot of sauce up by me, Sauce up those kids.
What I'm saying, the older person, because my grandmother did it, and my grandmother been 120 years now. The point is that they drank it, but they drank it for a period of time.
Yeah, but in those days, people used to use Gramazone, They used to use
all of that. So those are some of the things, and Godfrey, we probably talk about that tomorrow night.
Yeah.
The Gramazone, I can walk into the store and buy Gramazone and Roundup and all of that.
Yeah.
We have to be very careful.
They used to have natural thing using.
All right. Okay.
Yes, and so in your community in which you live, those are the things we speak about. We tend to engage in conversations that are of no value to our community. Start back the conversation in your churches, when you meet on the roadside, when you go to the clinic and you sit down, you start to talk about the things. How can we do it better? What should we be planting? What should we not put in our land to get, we put all this artificial manure and you have grass and stuff that can make compost and all the rest of it. And sheep eat grass. You can take sheep dung and mix it to the grass and whatever, the leaves and stuff, and make good manure for your thing. We don't speak about
those things. I think the yard have a big sugar district. Everybody wants a piece in it. They blossom in without stop. I just drink the tea every morning when I want.
But you don't need to drink it every morning. That's what we're trying to tell you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Have a nice Christmas.
Thank you, caller. Thank you.
Right.
All the best. Yes, indeed. Okay, 435-2041. That's the number you can call, and you can definitely, ask your questions or, share whatever contribution that you would like to share with us. The number again, 435-2041. Let's go back to the telephone. Doctor and call. Good evening. Hello.
Hey.
Yes, good evening, caller.
Good afternoon.
How are you? Yes.
Yes,
go ahead with your question.
What I want to find out is, lime peel. Lime peel. I usually drink the tea. I make for tea on morning time.
Right. I mean, I have used that as well. Lime peel, orange peel. They say good for gas. That's what my grandmother used to. In fact, I'll tell you this: my grandmother, whenever we peel an orange, she never got rid of the peel.
Of the skin.
No, you hung it up somewhere in the kitchen, yeah, and then later on you'd boil it. If you have a little gas and you drink that, whether it worked or not, I am not sure. But I have had my share of lime peel and orange peel already in tea.
I still have those, but I don't have it every day. I don't do it every day. So here, go on. There's a lot of information on the internet. Just go into Google and see benefits of lemon peel, because they do promote it, and there is research that says there's X, there's Y, there's Z. But again, you don't need to take it every day, because at the end of the day, you may have effects, negative effects on your kidneys or your liver if you use some of these things too long. So that is what you need to do. Effect of lime peel on my kidneys, and your information is all there. So thank you for calling, sir. Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much, caller. Thanks a lot indeed. Yep. Yes, indeed. 435.
And guess what? I'm not professing to be an expert in herbal medicine, because I'm not. There's some things that I know, and I really need to learn a lot more. But there's some things I know that are not good.
Yep, indeed. Well, you're getting a lot of questions on the herbal side this evening. You probably may be a herbalist by the time you leave here. But the use of a lot of these herbs. It's a very common thing in Grenada. There's so much you can. I am familiar with the names of a lot of them. Some I've used. They have those that you use for the cold, those that you use if you have a stomach ache, those that can help your blood pressure to go down, and you mentioned blood sugar earlier, and there are lots and lots and lots of different ones that you can use, and people do. Some people actually believe that there is nothing better than bush. There are people who...
That's okay. I'm just saying, I wish people would understand that they have to figure out what is good, because, like I tell you, again, with the old lady, the periwinkle, people are drinking and the sugar is fine, and then they discover, oh my goodness, look at what's happened to the kidney, to the livers. Uh-huh. Let's see how we can figure out how we can extract that would bring your sugar down without, because there are other things. It's not just that one thing in any plant which you take. So let's not be foolish. I want to say something about the herbal medicines. Mm-hmm. Look, we have only been trained in those manufactured medication for the most part. The people who practice medicine here. Uh-huh. Legally. There are other people who do the herbal stuff, and I don't know that we have the knowledge yet as a country, as the leadership, the people who regulate medical practice, to say you can use XYZ. So, and that's something that's going to have to come, because that's the way of the world. It's small, all the information is there. People are going to seek out what they have. But I've heard herbalists who tell you use it for this, and they can't even say the name of the disease that you have properly. Right? And that frightens me intensely. I heard a guy last week, I'm like, what the hell? How could you be telling me to use this? It works for something that you don't even know the
name. Mm-hmm.
Right. So we have to get that balance, and it must be fair at the end of the day to people, to the consumer, to the person who's going to use it. The other thing is that in places like Mexico, especially Mexico, in our region, where you have the herbalist and the regular doctor like me practicing side by side in hospitals, and you can choose as a patient which kind of therapy you would like to have, right? Or what you would like to have a mix. The bottom line, this is a population that has studied a lot the whole issue of herbal medication. So they function from a point of knowledge. okay, and research and experience. We are not there yet. We are really not there yet. So we have to be very careful. And before I move on, we had started to talk about something, probably the most not available and most noxious substance to us is alcohol. Christmas coming, right?
Oh, yeah.
When do you think we start consuming alcohol in our lives? We've spoken about this before. When was the first time you had alcohol? Christmas is a good time to start.
I don't know. Maybe I probably.
Do we give Christmas cake to our babies?
Yes, yes.
That's as early as our consumption for alcohol. If your body is wired in such a way that you accept alcohol, and alcohol is highly addictive, you're teaching a child how to identify the substances that satisfies his brain in that kind of negative way. So we have to be very careful. Everybody give you a piece of Christmas cake. Guess what? You can make Christmas cake without putting wine in it. You can make fruit cake. There are people who make fruit cake, fabulous tasting fruit cake, and they don't put no wine in there. So, or no rum. You know, the more rum, the nicer the cake is, right? It gets, for some reason, it gets soggier and nicer, and everything just loosens, right? But you also need to know how much alcohol you can consume.
That's right.
The police are going to be out breathalyzing, and I hope they really are, because we have to take the people who are going to cause illness, who's going to cause accidents. I've seen people come off the boats, the rum boats, the party boats, right? Who walk like cockroach. Like drunk cockroach, right? They can't walk and they get into their car and drive. How can you? One of the challenges we have this year, even more over last year, is that there are lots of vehicles on the road. But we have to remember that some of these vehicles are just families just going out to buy whatever they want to get. Just go see the lights at quarantine, or just going to visit your family in Tivoli or wherever you have relatives. You're just going to see your grandfather up at Hilarion home or whatever it is. Right? If you're going to drive, the other drivers out there, please preserve the life of the other people. Be responsible for every single car you pass on the street, and of course for yourself. You can't drink. You do not know how much alcohol makes you incapable of managing a vehicle. I've been driving a little car this week because my car has been in the garage, right? Little car with a 2-liter engine. I feel like I'm going crazy. I'm afraid to put my foot on the gas. Why? Because I have seen so many near accidents. Not to be caused by me, because I'm a careful driver, but other people who don't think they need to slow down on the corner. I'm driving and a guy is coming up in the opposite direction, and their vehicles parked. I'm in a little village road. The vehicles parked on the other side. Right, like 3 vehicles, and I have the road because there's nothing obstructing my side. And he comes up to me and thinks I must reverse, or I must give him space to pass, and cuss me and tell me I can't drive. Why I don't come out on the road? Why don't move, let him pass? Right? Maybe he has 1 or 2 or 3 on board, more than he needs to have at all. So there are a lot of things we have to be responsible for when you're driving. Am I responsible for myself and the people in my car? How responsible am I? What kind of level of responsibility am I practicing with the people? Do I know the road code? Am I driving over the limit? Right? And a whole lot of things. We should not, all of us should try our best to meet 2024, December 31st. Right? And it's a responsibility that everyone has. It is about responsibility. Right? If you have 4 drinks already, you are above the international norm. 4 drinks. Right? Our rate is higher, what we allow. So basically, our rate allows drunk people to drive, which is not a good thing for Grenada. Grenada's roads are narrow. It's been very rainy. They cut grass, which makes your car slide, and let's leave it in the road. And plus, people drive with bright lights that you don't get to see. There are a lot of other transgressions that can lead you to drive unsafely. If you don't think you can see the night, don't go on the road. If you want to drink, hire a taxi. Go with friends, carpool. One person is not drinking tonight, the next one don't drink the next night, and so you can have safe drivers around. If the person is not a capable driver, because having a driver's license does not mean you can drive. because driving it changes as the moment goes, right? It's not the same thing on the road every day, despite what people think. It is not. You don't meet the same drivers.
That's it. Same road, different situation every day.
Different situations. And since everybody thinks that the road belongs to them alone, just make sure you give them space, because you don't want to be responsible for anybody's death and maiming and all the rest of it.
But not only that, and I mean, and that is the most important thing. But think about the fact that you're causing yourself significant inconvenience, because you destroy your vehicle. Probably that's the one you need to get you to and from work. All of that. So I mean, there's so much to consider. You know, and you know, sometimes if we do, we probably may just do things differently.
And the responsibility also lies on people who sell alcohol to consumers to recognize, say, boss, you can't drive anymore. I don't know how the law stands for that. I don't think that there's that clause in the law, but there should be a clause that makes the seller of alcohol responsible. The other things, we are not supposed to provide alcohol for people under the age of 18. Right? They're not supposed to consume alcohol, and then see children sitting with a beer in their hand. That's 4% alcohol. I drink half a beer and I can't walk to my room. Right? But I know that, so I'm not drinking half a beer.
That's right? That's it. Mm-hmm.
Right? We have to ensure that we do not consume. And again, we talked in the beginning of the other side, things like getting STDs. You might not know who you have sex with when you're drunk. You don't remember being pregnant, right? Being violated, being raped, or male or female, it doesn't really matter, right? Getting severe STDs like HIV, which is very present in Grenada, right? Herpes, chlamydia, all of those things that are going to affect your future. Okay, so make sure that alcohol, yes, while we drink, we also have to think about, if we drink too much, we lose our capacity to make good decisions for us and for everybody else.
Yes, indeed. So folks, be mindful, be mindful. And as we get close to wrapping up time, I just want to stress the importance of, moderation. Yes, and going back to, the Christmas celebration. We love our ham, we love our cakes, all different types. Of course, the different types of beverages, and all of them laced with alcohol. Excuse me. And maybe it gives us a feeling that we like. But what happens after that? What happens after that? Are we thinking about maybe a few hours later, or maybe a day or two after? These are things that you need to consider.
Yeah.
And hopefully, Doc, for our final program, I hope we can get maybe the folks from the Food and Nutrition Council to probably come in and chat a little bit with us, about portions as it relates to, what we consume, because we do a lot, the meats, the carbs, and even now that the vegetables are a little scarce, we have to pay attention to all of these little details. Because there's a little story or a little saying that speaks to is it the straw that broke the camel's back?
The last one. Yeah. You also have to talk about what's sweet in goat mouth, but I wouldn't say.
Right, definitely. So sometimes you feel all well and great and happy and joyful, and you feel that you could fight a lion, but that could very well be the point where you just need that little bit of straw that can actually do that damage.
Yeah.
So every time you think about probably going, in excess, think about, is it possible that can be that one bit of straw, and pull back a bit. pull back a bit. When you buy your ham for Christmas and you see that nice looking ham in front of you with whatever pickles or pineapple and all the different kinds of sauces, stop for a moment. And it might be a good thing to have a nice thin slice and enjoy it, and keep that anxiety for the other thin slice tomorrow. Think about tomorrow, that hey, I am going to have another slice, but tomorrow, rather than trying to have 3 and 4 and 5 slices now and think you can destroy the ham. Yeah, you might destroy the ham, but the ham is going to take you with it. Remember that, folks.
And there's always more pigs left.
Oh, definitely. There's a lot of piggies around. Lots and lots of piggies around. Yeah.
One of the things I want people to remember, however, look, life is not the same as it was before, okay? And the whole issue of personal safety is very important. There are people out there who are looking to make you poor. Whether they're going to pick your pockets, I'm serious, whether they're going to scam you, whether they're going to break into your homes, right? Whether they're going to steal from your children while you're on the street, whatever it is, please be aware, okay? And please be safe. Make sure your physical being is safe. I saw a set of pictures that were posted by the police after a football game of all these sharp objects.
Oh, yes.
With our children.
Mm-hmm.
Parents, check your children, please. Children, check yourselves, please. The whole upsurge in violence, interpersonal violence. I'm talking about fighting and wanting to stab and wanting to do this and who want to kill who and who want to do this. We need to really get to a place of being soft, a place of gentility, of love, of mutual respect for one another. Because we're going to feel it right to walk around with a knife or scissors or whatever you sharpen to put in ways you can puncture somebody else. The truth is, it might not puncture the person who you want to puncture.
Well, you remember maybe about 2 years ago, there was this video circulating on social media about a young man who went to school with a cutlass, and it turned out that the cutlass was used on him.
That was in Jamaica?
No, right here.
Right. And we have to be very careful. We need to talk to our children. We need to teach our children, show children how to love and to be gentle and to be kind and giving and to walk away from trouble. We need to focus on that bullying is going to go out of the classroom, and our children, when they're in town, they're going to look out for one another and want to get at people because in school, teacher might impose discipline. Okay, but please be safe, people. Physical safety is very important.
Yes, indeed.
Do not stop taking medication because you want to drink. Do not stop taking medication because you want to party. Do not stop taking medication because you're so happy that you just want to be free. It is important that you continue all the lifestyle practices that you've been having. Moderation, as Godfrey says, is very, very important. Else we're going to end up in a hospital, and some of us are going to end up dead.
Oh yes, definitely.
We see it every year. That is an increase in amount of severe illness and death. Okay, among people who do not make an effort to control their habits and take your medications. There's no need. I'm sorry about my dog, but it's raining outside. There's no need for us to stop the good practices that we have that have kept us alive all year, and then discontinue it at Christmas just to end our lives prematurely.
That's right, definitely. Well, Doc, that's all the time we have tonight. Next Tuesday will be our last program for the Christmas season. Of course, we'd allow people the opportunity to do their little finish up their little Christmas decoration and, of course, enjoy yourself. Definitely, we just want to reemphasize the importance of exercising good judgment in every way possible. So we thank you for staying with us us. We thank you for your questions, all the contributions. It was quite nice hearing from our folks tonight, and some of the lessons with the herbs and so. And folks, it might be a good idea to heed the warning or the advice from one of our callers by straining your tea to get out all the grums, because you don't know what's in the grums. Yeah. You don't want that grums to enter inside it because you don't know what can happen. That's right. So thank you once again, Doc. Any final words before we wrap for this evening?
I think it's for me. I'm very happy that we've come to this time of the year. Like I said, I really don't like Christmas. But I like to make people happy at Christmas. I think we should focus on what the season means, the season of love and hope and looking out for each other. Remember that Jesus Christ, his mother and father, were looking for a place to be. Let's open our hearts and make sure that we can create a spiritually happy place for the people who we come into contact with. Remember that we're going to cook a lot of food, send some for the little old lady who lived down the road who probably just bought in some fig and a piece of saltfish.
Yes.
And that feels a little forgiven. There's no need to indulge in expensive stuff and waste a lot of money because we have it, because there's still next year. And January is 2 months. Remember?
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Long months, right? There's still school fees, there's still rent, there's still everything that we need to do, all our things.
Everything.
So before you engage, sit to write a budget. What am I going to spend? Right? And make your children happy. Teach your children to be happy, whatever little you can share. But make everybody happy. Let it be a season of safety and joy and peace and sharing and love. Right? The big things really don't matter because they disappear that's why I like Boxing Day, all of that gone.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. All right. So I wish everybody the best happy shopping. Make one person at least happy.
Indeed.
Make one person happy because there's somebody around us who needs support.
Indeed. So folks, you can join us next Tuesday for a final program for before the Christmas holidays. We look forward to that one. We would try and see if we can get someone from the Food and Nutrition Council to come and chat with us a little bit about portions and maybe some Christmas delicacies
but they actually have cake sales, so you're supposed to probably order already.
Yes.
But they do nutritious cakes and they, some ingredients that we normally take are not there, so they are better. The sugar content.
It's a good choice, indeed.
Use applesauce instead of eggs in some cases and stuff. So Food and Nutrition Council is where you can get your nice cake.
Right. So we bring them on next week, and definitely you can, get to hear a bit more. So thank you once again, folks. Don't forget to join us tomorrow evening, our Climate Reality, the final episode in season 2. And of course, tomorrow evening we're looking back and just sort of refresh our minds or memories on the impact that climate change has on our health and also on our agricultural sector, two very closely related sectors. So be sure to join us for that. Dr. Nixon will be on together with Mr. Trevor Thompson, and we will be discussing that. So until then, do have a good night. Thank you and all the best.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes, indeed.